listening to CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today is Thursday, November 30th, year of our Lord 2017. You're listening to a Gen Pop Media production. Well, Thanksgiving was good. We got through that. You know, we try not to work on holidays. We just want to pay the holiday pay. I mean, basically, you know, we don't want to pay the double time. What's double nothing?
What are you talking about, son?
Zero time.
This is what happens when you drink on the job.
Yeah. He's not the best color man for nothing.
I won't even comment on that.
Yeah, so we're back from the mini holiday break and lots of fun stuff going on in the world. But before we get into all that, just want to point out that the whole idea behind the show is to get you to wake up, do some research. We're not necessarily we are presenting theories, sometimes facts. You know, sometimes we do our research.
It's pretty factual. I mean, we draw conclusions.
Yeah, we draw conclusions.
That
okay.
to me are freaking
Yeah,
obvious.
I hear you tapping.
It's on?
Come on in. Hello.
How come it's not in my... Sorry, having technical difficulties.
Oh, okay. What does M stand for? What's the M for?
I can't
I
hear
have
you.
no idea.
Okay.
Can you hear him through the?
Or is that like an E on its side? Or
I can hear you.
I
Can
can't
you hear
me.
me?
No,
No,
On the
but I can hear
microphone?
you tapping on the mic.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
it's just low. You can hear it.
Yeah, he's just got to turn you up a little bit.
See that little board by you?
No, that's not
Start
the
turning
one.
those buttons.
It's that one.
Find the one that says microphone. Where's our guy? Chris. Is it Chris?
Yeah, you're number 2.
I don't know.
I think we got a microphone that's
Dave's
one?
mic. DiBiase's mic is
sputtering
low.
out.
that was a...
A weird sound.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Seems low.
Do you guys ever wish we could just have
Better?
a crass show, just like the way we used to talk in our, or the way we still
Better?
do in our basements when no one's around? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. What do you want to do? Tell dirty jokes and swear all
Just not.
I still do that.
I
so,
do.
Yeah,
I
so.
do. And you know the
Yeah.
thing is,
I
when I
just
hear it
feel
on
guilty
air,
now.
like when I go back and hear our
I'm
episodes,
going to keep talking over you. Sorry, he's checking my mic.
That's fine. That's fine. It's almost like we're married.
That's it? I gotta shout? Okay.
Shout.
I
that
can do
happens
that.
a lot. Like when Tony's talking into the mic, his recording level is like so low. I can turn it up, then we all get garbled, or he's
Well, you know, he's the sensitive
he's
type.
Yeah.
he's a very quiet type.
Tony
I try to talk
Tony
stuff.
identifies as quiet.
Female quiet.
Easy.
Yeah.
Me too.
Who do you think's the least quiet here?
Got to be me, right?
The loudest? Oh, I don't know.
Dave's usually got a pretty strong voice. DiBiase.
I mean, I can get loud, but
I think it
Yeah, it
could be
depends on
Howard.
it depends on whether you're irritated or not.
Who do you think would be the most intimidating when they're angry to a stranger? Me? Really?
really?
Why?
Elaborate. I have to hear why.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Oh,
Don't, you're not
Just
going to hurt my
throwing-
feelings. You can
just
say
throwing stuff out
anything.
there?
It's okay.
I don't know. Best way I can
Because
say
you're
it-
the biggest dick on the show. Probably.
No, that is true. But
No, I'm fully. Yeah.
That's
I'm
okay.
on that one.
it could be worse.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'd
to be-
rather be a dick than a pussy.
That's
right.
right. Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
exactly.
We need that. We need
So it's
that
'cause I'm a
soundbite
dick then,
from
right.
Team America right now about dicks and
All right.
pussies.
Yeah. Anyway,
Dick. Wow, do people think I'm a dick?
I don't think
They
so.
definitely do in my hometown. I'll tell you that's for sure.
It's not saying much.
It depends.
Given your
Yeah.
hometown is comprised of.
Yeah, it's like a
Young.
pebble. It's a pebble, man.
That's a petri dish. It's what it is. It's just it's a racquetball
Just a
court and there's a
rock
ball
and a
just
storm
bouncing.
sewer.
Yeah. I think you know who would scare me the most if they got angry? You'll be very surprised. Is Tony. Because I'll bet you he gets angry the least. So when he does, you know it's
I
like
gotcha.
holy cow.
Yeah, I bet you.
Yeah,
I get
wood,
stupid.
like wood chipper type mad.
Yeah, he
I'm
would
like-
still be quiet about
you know,
it.
Fargo type mad.
Yeah, yeah.
What's that? What kind of mad
You know,
is
like
that?
chopping a person up and throw them in the wood chipper to get rid of them. You know, that kind
Yeah.
of mad.
But do they react emotionally in any other way?
No, it's like listening to tunes while you're doing it.
Oh, that's
eating
like
a
my
sandwich,
that's
like,
like
you
my
know.
ex.
Yeah. Just
She could
enjoying
be
it.
programming a nuclear warhead and
eating a pizza.
Take a break
Yeah,
to
it's fine.
scratch your nuts,
Yeah.
which she probably has a few of. No, I'm kidding, man. No, I'm actually not kidding. I mean, I am kidding about the nuts. You know what?
I mean, sorta.
But not
Nuts.
really.
About
You
part
guys
of it.
heard about almond production in Israel? It's off the charts these days.
Really?
Party hard.
The actual almonds.
Like
No,
yeah, nuts.
I made that. I made it up. I don't even know if they make almonds, but
Well,
I
that's what,
think they do.
how do they milk almonds? I mean,
Smash them.
How do they milk cats?
I mean, are there like little udders on almonds?
Do you-
Okay.
Do you guys believe
All
that
right.
Christians can be good stand-up comedians?
No, because I've seen them, and I watched. They actually had a Christian comedy hour come on TBN the other day, and I'm like,
Was
okay,
it with the
this
one lady that was?
Dude, there's no way. It's not funny.
She
It
played
was
the wife
awful.
of Ray Romano.
No.
Oh, because I
No.
saw her host a Christian.
No, it's three guys, and one of them was so creepy. I'm like, oh, does he have to be a Christian? I was
Well,
like,
it's not like Christians are creepy sometimes.
well,
Let's
I
be
know,
fair.
but I was
mean,
feeling bad about my association with this guy. Okay, yeah, no, they were awful. It was an hour of I was mad. They made me mad. They did exactly the opposite of what they were supposed to do.
I'm surprised you even gave it a chance. To be honest,
I
would be
was-
like, turn the. I mean, and I'm a Christian dude, but I'm a Christian comedy.
Yeah, no,
It's not funny, dude.
yeah,
Do you guys get into like the Christian music also?
No.
No,
I am
Some of it's
totally,
good.
I am
In
totally
fact-
locked in on K-Love.
you know, if I
Yeah, some
don't
of it's
know it's
okay.
Christian music, I'll like the beat.
Yeah.
But if I find out it's Christian, it's just like
It's
the
like you gotta
sex
change
appeal of it just went out the
I
window.
love the Christian contemporary, man.
But some of it's good, dude. I'll give you that. I like that. Some of it's good. There's very little Christian metal I'll even give airplay.
Christian
there's
Christian metal's bad.
metal.
But there's
I mean,
some
what?
good
It's
Christian
bad.
metal, dude.
It's like
There's
saying
some.
Christian
Some.
Satanism. It's just what is that?
No, it's not fair.
Well,
I
why
know,
does
I'm
metal always have to be for
It
the
doesn't
forces of evil?
have to be.
Because you can tell by the emotions it produces and the I mean, it is a. There's no peace in that music. That's war music.
Oh, that's
I don't know,
venting, man.
It kind of mellows me out.
Yeah, totally.
I will say this: have you guys ever seen The Punisher?
Of course.
Yes.
I mean, the show on net.
Yeah.
Oh no,
With Shane.
the movie I said.
I don't know who the guy is, but
He played Shane in The Walking Dead.
John.
John.
he was
something
in The
really long
Accountant
last
too
name.
with Ben Affleck.
Yes, he was.
Okay,
Yeah, he was.
so we're talking about, and he was in Fury with with Brad Pitt. He was in
Yes,
the tank.
he
was like the
yes.
munitions guy.
Yep. Not Roethlisberger.
So,
Slightly different guy.
so that guy, by the way, I talk about my friend Frank, who's in the FBI.
Right.
My friend Frank looks exactly like him, talks exactly like. I mean, that is
So much for his cover.
exactly.
It's just blown.
Actually, the covers, because you just don't notice them until they're quiet. Like
Just putting the
it's
cuffs on.
camouflage. And I was just in a mood this week where I wanted to see Retribution, and the way that on the Punisher that he takes people out.
John Barenthal.
It's not like one shot to the head and it's over. He's like stabbing people 30 times. I mean, you're feeling it.
You got to make sure that they know. Quick is not going to work.
What is this show?
The Punisher.
The Punisher.
This is a TV show.
I guess they made a
It's-
series out of it.
Series?
It's a Netflix series, I think. It is so bloody.
It's a
bloody.
it's a comic
bloody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Marvel.
They
character.
did 2 stabs at movies, and they both sucked.
I don't know. The one was cool.
Yeah, the Thomas Jane one was way better than the Dolph Lundgren one.
Well, that one, it's Dolph Lundgren, so
Yeah, wow.
he is in an interesting movie that's actually kind of cool. It's Dolph Lundgren. So for some reason, no matter what the budget is, if he's in it, it's a B.
Well, I mean,
flick for
it's
sure.
kind of like, did you ever see the Dolph Lundgren Dennis Rodman movie?
I didn't even realize there was a such
Oh
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
it took
I'm
bad.
not-
It took bad to new levels.
Well, I'm not better for knowing that. So,
Yeah,
but there's one he did about human trafficking.
yeah.
That was actually
It was a good movie.
Skin
Yep.
Game is called Skin Game.
Yep.
With Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
He's supposed
We
to be a
both have
very
Netflix.
intelligent guy.
Dolph Lundgren.
Can't act worth it.
No, but he
I
was
must
like
break
some kind of
in.
scholar,
Which is probably why he
scientific scholar.
Can't act is because he's too smart for it.
He's huge.
Yeah. But no, the one Punisher was cool. That's
with
for
Thomas Jane,
for what
it was
it
better.
is,
Yeah, but the series is way better than all of that.
Yeah?
The series is excellent.
Okay.
I got into it.
I got into it.
I'm
Did you
into
watch
these,
Daredevil?
12,
Did you watch
13
Daredevil?
Not the series, but that one just started auto playing after my last.
Yeah,
I just had the Punisher
Daredevil series is excellent. Punisher shows up at the end of the second season of Daredevil.
Right.
Huh.
That blonde
Good stuff.
reporter,
It's DC. It's
Yeah.
all DC stuff.
Yeah, because the movie was cool. It was Daredevil. It was all right.
No, the Ben Affleck Daredevil was crap.
Well, I mean, it was all right. I mean,
No, it was crap.
Well.
No, you're wrong.
Okay.
crap.
Then. Anyway.
It was crap.
So this John Bernthal,
Yeah, John
By the way.
Bernthal. Yep, Shane.
he was in a sitcom years ago.
Really?
I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but that's how I knew him from.
I don't
sitcom.
consider Walking Dead to be a sitcom.
He was, yeah, he was. It was a comedy. He was something to do with. He was like this woman who was married to his buddy or something like that. It was a stupid sitcom. It lasted like a season, but that's how I knew him.
And was he funny?
And then he was funny. And then when he came out with this Walking Dead, I'm thinking like, what?
Dude, he was
these,
awesome in Walking Dead.
when you know somebody as one character, then
Yeah, gotcha.
And he doesn't have a ton of range. Like he's like,
the same guy in every movie.
yeah.
He did this awful USA series right after Walking Dead, where it was like he was some 50s detective. Oh, it was terrible. It's terrible.
No quotes game.
No?
Well, maybe later we can.
Okay.
Let's
Cool.
just talk for a minute.
All right.
All right.
It's therapeutic.
Since we're just free flowing, I got to know one thing. Who ate chili cheese fries? Okay.
Wow.
I thought I was going insane.
You got a
And you
nose.
think I'm the biggest dick, Chris? There's the biggest dick right there.
What did I do? Somebody smells good, man. That's like that's I want.
Oh, I thought that was a. I thought it was not a. I thot it was a.
No,
bad
I'm
smell.
smelling chili cheese fries, and I'm wondering if it's me. I'm like, but I haven't had chili cheese fries in like forever.
Oh, wait.
No, I was gonna let you think that for a bit. No, I had KFC.
They're okay, close enough.
Kentucky
I
Fried.
think in general, you smell food is what the point is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't. I smell just my Funyuns that I ate in the car.
Funyuns are awesome.
You know what?
There
You
is
like
no
what?
combination.
I had a yogurt.
There is no combination of foods on earth that will make your breath worse than Mountain Dew and Funyuns.
Awesome combo.
It is a deadly combination for breath, though. Wow.
I don't know. Have you ever talked to a group of people that just ate at an Italian restaurant? There's like a wall of garlic.
The
Coming
wall
at
of
you.
garlic, yeah.
There was one.
You like that garlic paste at the like a Mediterranean?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Chicks
that
dig
stuff's- my chick digs it.
Which one?
My wife.
Oh,
My
Mm.
only. My
Which
only.
one?
My only chick.
Yeah,
just kidding.
his only
Grace,
chick.
it's just a joke.
She's not listening. Don't worry.
That would have been,
Oh, the new other young nameless lady. You
that
guys
would
are
have been
still
a good
together.
throw off. There would have been some questions at home.
She knows better.
She knows way better.
Can I just interview you guys a little bit? today?
Sure,
Yes.
sure. Chili cheese fries.
Where
Book of Isaiah.
we're just scale of 1 to 10. How 10 being swimmingly, like it's going beautifully.
Swimming.
How is this? How is these are questions you've heard before, like almost maybe a year ago, and I want to compare it to that show and see how we're doing.
Okay.
Where do you guys stand right now? Scale of 1 to 10 on the calm in your life, the certainty of what we talk about,
Those are
how
two
much
different.
the adjustments have been made. I mean, just talk. Forget the 0 to 10 thing, but just tell me a little about that. Maybe start with. Anyone want to chime in first?
Well, a 0,
Is
a
bad.
lot.
A 0 would
Where's
be
10?
crappy.
Yeah, 0 would
Don't
be
make a reverse.
bad.
One of those reverse scale things.
Yeah,
no.
I hate it.
0's the best. 10 is the. Or wait.
Right. Well, we've got affirmative action going on
You're
right here.
right. Well, we got to be fair to all the numbers.
There you go.
What about the numbers from 0 to 5 that always get hosed?
What about the negative numbers?
See? They get hosed all
Yeah,
the time.
all the time.
They're always owing people.
Yep.
This could be the worst show we've ever had
It's
so
actually
far.
not that
you
bad.
want to start with me,
far.
Tony?
Howard's going to start.
Okay, so I'm going to start. Well, those are a bunch of different questions. Calm in my life. I would say that it's definitely more calm because the attack is not constant. Before, I kind of knew what was going on, and I was trying to figure out and I thought I was in control and all the responsibility was mine. It was like a constant uphill battle of perpetual stress. Now that I am getting some answers to some things that were much more important to me than is the gas bill getting paid on Friday or Monday, I'm feeling a lot of peace, because these are things that I wrestled with on a level I didn't even realize that was kind of always under the surface of what's going on. Why doesn't this make sense? So as far as calm to my life, I would say it's more calm. Absolutely.
You come across, I mentioned that on the phone the other day, you seem a lot calmer.
Well,
like a lot.
For the first time in a very long time, things make sense. And it's kind of frightening, the things that make sense to us that we accept. But I am now surrounded by probably the best group of people that I've been surrounded by in my life. And if we're all crazy together, okay, that's cool. I'm good with it. I can deal with it, because I've been blessed. I've got some really, really good friends. I don't see them anymore. Okay. We keep in contact. We're still good friends, or just our lives have gone in different directions. But now I am in a group of people where everybody's just trying to help other people. It's awesome. And no one is nearly as worried about them and theirs as they are, what can we do to help someone out? Let's recognize all the blessings we have. Can we share that? I just think it's awesome. It's really like the joke I've made 1,000 times. What I love about my church, I am the worst person there. If I'm the worst person in the room,
maybe last Sunday because I wasn't there.
Yeah, maybe. But if I'm the worst person in the room, I'm comfortable in the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you guys?
I don't know. Just kind of coasting along, dude.
As far as certainty.
Certainty. Well, it doesn't matter.
Certainty. I am more certain every day.
It doesn't matter what goes on. The certainty doesn't. I don't ever.
Did that ever fluctuate for any of you guys? Where at one time you're like, man, am I making this all up?
Yeah.
Like, are we seeing something?
Yeah, it has. Not in a while.
It's happened to me a few times.
Yeah. You mean like, is this stuff really real? Am I being played? Kind of a.
Yeah, like.
No, I've definitely.
Is this real enough to devote your time to it?
Yeah, I've thought that.
Because
too.
it's so easy to just go about your life and you'd never see any of this stuff. And possibly, like my dad's life, he was born and died never knowing an ounce of any of this. Just lived 70-some years and just never knew it. So it's so easy to go through life and never pick up on
it
this.
is, yeah.
Unless you know it.
See, and that's the
Then
thing,
you
too, is
can't.
it takes effort.
Yeah, you can't unknow it. So
Because it takes way less effort to be sheep. It takes way less effort to just go through life and not pay attention to any of this stuff. But
And you'd probably be happier.
and you're probably happier.
maybe.
Well, it's false. I mean, it's a false happiness.
Maybe. See people struggle.
Yeah,
with,
true.
With things that are kind of petty, because they don't have any
Scale.
Well, any real belief. So, everything seems to matter. Does it sound right?
I hear you.
Even dumb things that are trivial, because their focus is on just today.
Well, if you think this is the only life we've got, it's going to change how you view everything.
Your outlook changes a lot.
That's one of the things. Is one of the nicest things about this is, and it's not like I'm not hoping. Oh, I hope there's a heaven. I'm not. It's not like some. Don't use words like faith and hope and I await and. Dude, I know for a fact that I know it's there. I know it just because the book that told us about it has never been wrong, and it has made the most outrageous claims that only looking back on history could we've known that these things actually happened the way they said they would. And when that really settles in and you know that this is just training life, it's just training camp, it's preseason, it doesn't even count. That's where the things that impact a Christian, you said the word petty, and I thought that was a great word. That's one thing I've noticed. Like, I was finding trouble in things that were petty before. Now that I'm a Christian, I'm finding trouble in things they're just not petty. They're bigger.
Yeah, and mostly things you can't control anyway.
No control at all.
You now, I don't always like it. I mean, I'm with you on this. There's no convincing me otherwise that this stuff doesn't exist. It's not real. I know for a fact it's real, but I don't always like it. I don't always walk around all joyful and ridiculously annoying. About it.
I don't think Christians are any happier than non. I don't think there's.
I think on a whole they are.
You do?
To be honest with you, yeah. And what I was going to add in, but I wanted to let Dave finish. So if you're not finished, you can finish. Now I lost it. I've completely lost my train of thought.
That's what you get for interrupting
See,
Dave.
that's what happens.
Oh, no. What I was going to say was that even the stuff I don't like, it's easier to deal with because I understand there's a bigger picture.
Well, you accept it.
It's much easier to accept the bad things that happen to me when I realize it's all part of a larger plan and that it's happening for a reason. Happening just because life sucks and it's unfair.
Yeah.
That's much harder to deal with, and it's just like, you know what, this is just a trial, dude. This is a test. So the better you perform on your test, the better it's going to be later. And, until I see something different, that's the way I'm going to continue to operate.
So what do you say to people who then come back and go, oh, okay, God has a plan. Does he have a plan for everybody?
He does. He does.
Well, actually, no, I agree with you. I actually think he absolutely does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't always like being in the petri dish, per se, right? Sometimes it's a little frustrating. We're like, what's the point of any of this? You question things like that. Like, what? Why? Why go through all of this for, it's something that we just can't understand, and I just kind of accept it and move on. But to lie and say that I just, I'm skipping around all the time, going, oh, everything's so great, and, going to be in heaven someday, it's just not how I operate, dude. There are days when I'm just like, really? I mean,
oh, yeah.
I mean, what in the what? Why?
If I think about it and meditate on it, and I'm only doing that because I need to do it, and I really just remind myself, look, man, there's a bigger picture here. Like, when life's little curveballs get you down a little bit, and you start to think about it, and you just remind yourself, man, this is just basic training. I mean, there's something after this, like, much bigger and longer.
Tough stuff's coming up, you mean?
No. I mean, there's a better life out. I mean, there's another life. Real life, I think. I think we look back at this thing and we're just like, wow, this was...
Well, that's an interesting point, because when you say something like that, when I think of the reading, going through the Bible and trying to understand what this is about, first of all, I have no clue what this is all about. I have to say, I'm trying to figure things out as far as this life, what we're doing, what's going on, with all the things we talk about. It's like a big mystery, right? You're trying to figure it out. But when we talk about spiritual, you talk about Christian and the Bible and different things, little things like there is no male and female for
angels,
for the angels and things. It's hard to wrap your mind around. What am I? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, will you have your memories, and you'll have the memories of a male. I mean, do you think there will be gender in heaven after this wave of humanity gets converted to spirit beings?
No, there's not.
There's supposed to be not, right?
There's not.
Really?
So that's hard to wrap your head around. It's hard
it's
to
one
wrap
of those things where you just kind of like, okay.
Well, you're going to be.
Or you
who
look at the
are.
positive and your dating pool just doubled.
Because then it just doesn't matter. But no, there's none of that going on.
Right. So I mean, trying to figure out what that is kind of like mind blowing. You have no concept, no clue what it is.
Well, like
right?
to the point where it's like, okay, so that is superior to this, and I just kind of go, all right, okay, we'll see. You know, I trust you on that. I can't get my head wrapped around that either.
Yeah.
How
I don't think
that's,
about it
how
much.
that's better.
How what it, I mean?
No gender, none of that's going on. But yet, it's way better than this. Sorry, I'm
hey, dude, I've done the same.
I'm a young man, so I think about these things.
Like, do you think they'll have cigarettes in heaven?
I don't think
Do you
so.
think they'll have, do you think they'll have beer in heaven?
In my heaven.
Beer? There should be beer. It's just my opinion.
Now, what do you think if you were at the Heavens bar every night getting wasted? If they had beer there, do you think you'd be able to stay in heaven, or do you think you'd get booted?
No, I think you wouldn't get. It would be like O'Doul's. It'd be like the non-alcoholic beer. So there'd be beer.
This is not
But
an
there's-
official down the rabbit
Yeah,
hole theory,
yeah, no,
but
this
it is
is,
interesting.
But there's no getting drunk.
My heaven's better than that, where it's really beer, it's Jack Daniels, you're just immune to it. That's
Yeah, you just don't get drunk.
my heaven's better.
Yeah.
Because if I had to drink O'Doul's,
I know, right?
I might be thinking about switching sides. Sorry, that's just that is truly evil.
And pointless, by the way.
Completely.
Yes, totally pointless. Just throwing that out.
Yeah.
There, so.
All right, so we've talked a lot about how God. We hear it all the time. Oh, God told me to do this. God put it on my heart to do that. Blah 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 blah. How do you guys, Howard? Let's say God wanted you to do something that. Let's say for some reason God wanted you to move to Kansas.
Okay.
How do you think how would he communicate this to you in a way that would get you to move to Kansas? What would he have to do?
I would have to see. Really, for me, it's about my life and my family's life. It's about a way to improve our quality of life. So even if that was through ministry, it would have to be about. There would have to be a definite advantage, quality of life wise.
That could be a high-paying job.
Yeah. It could easily be a high paying
So
job.
you're saying
It could be-
if God was, so you think that you would know it was from God because there'd be signs such as it would be to provide you a better life?
Mm-hmm. Or give me an opportunity to affect more people. Like for instance, okay, when I was going through real evil work stuff several months ago, okay, I was trying to figure out what can I do? What am I going to do? Who's going to pay me to do what? Okay. And so I looked at, and everybody's like, oh, you have marketable skills. It's like, I have very marketable skills in a dying industry. Okay. To the right place, I can make them a ton of money. But for what I do, it isn't like there's 10 of me at one company. There's like 1 or 2 of me at huge companies, And I'm like, what am I going to do, And I looked on the internet for the heck of it. I was watching TBN, and it was either Stephen Furtick or Joyce Meyer. I think it was Stephen Furtick. Was like, come be part of my team. We need people from all professions to help support this ministry. Come be part of my team. And I'm like, So I was thinking about it. I was all stressed out at work, so I went on his website. And they had a position for a graphic designer. And I met a lot of the criteria. Graphic design is one of the many things I can do. I would be more valuable to the right company as more than a graphic designer. But I do have value as a graphic designer. But it's only a part of what I do, And I'm like, okay, pay was decent. Have to move to North Carolina. Weather's better. Okay, yeah, not so bad. So for the heck of it, I went on. I like Stephen Furtick, okay, but at that point the jury was still out on him. I'm now pretty comfortable with Stephen Furtick. But I didn't like him as much at the time. I was still feeling him out and trying to make sure he was real, okay, which I think he is. So then at the same time, I'm like, you know who I'm 100% sure about is Joyce Meyer. I love her, okay? She really speaks to me as a Christian instructor, okay? I'm like, I wonder if Joyce Meyer's got any jobs open. So I blaze over to her site. Lo and behold, she's got graphic jobs open. Okay, I'm like, okay. So I checked it out, sent an inquiry. They sent me back there were several things available. There was some temporary housing available while we relocated. The money was decent. It was more than I'm making now, but what I'm making now is a pittance of what I've made over my career, And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'd move my family for that, but yeah, it's a good opportunity to grow, serving the Lord, working in a ministry I respect. And then I didn't think anything about it, okay, but I did correspond with him. So then a few months go by, and Facebook, because Google is controlling everything, okay? All of a sudden, somehow Google knows that I emailed Joyce Meyer Ministries, okay? All of a sudden one day, literally, they gave me a job that was tailor-made for me. Literally, it was a print buyer. Okay, and basically, I needed to have experience in everything I have experience in. You don't get experience in all the stuff that me and a lot of my contemporaries have unless you like actually own the business, And it's like the money was excellent, and it was literally the dream job for me. And I'm like, But then I prayed on it, and I just decided now wasn't the time. But that's an opportunity, I believe. I mean, come on, man. It was like, you've got a very eclectic set of skills yourself, okay? You've done a bunch of different things. So all of us do. If somebody none of our jobs, except maybe yours, utilize 100%, where the field is so narrow that it's only a handful of people that could execute that job properly. It was eerie how this stuff met the skills I have and experience I have.
Well, if it was that perfect,
but you didn't go for it,
and you didn't go for it, did you just?
I prayed on it, and everything inside of me told me that now wasn't the time.
Okay, this is what I was getting at.
Okay, God doesn't talk to me. Okay, and I have to. God does not. It's not like, oh, shit, it's God. Hey, what up, dude? It's not like that. I don't get text messages from God.
No one does.
I know, but when people say, God told me to, sometimes it kind of makes me roll my eyes a little bit.
I'm with you.
And it could be my cognitive dissonance, okay? But it's kind of like, I don't know.
And no, I'm with you on that.
If God made us, though, don't you think he would have built in something? Especially if he's a God that wants a relationship, don't you think he would have built in a communication system?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think
maybe
he has one
conditioned out of us, or
it could be conditioned out of us. It could be the
out, or
fluoride.
pineal gland.
It could be the fluoride.
It could be the fluoride.
But when you look at the Bible, look at like accounts of Isaiah and Moses and these people who actually were talked to by God. Okay, it's like a cataclysmic event for God to speak to a human being.
Yeah, he's not.
That's why when someone's like, "Well, God told me to," it's kind of like,
yeah, I don't know. I could be a little cynical here, but I don't think God's instructing people on what to do with their kids' softball team or what this kind of stuff. Right? I just don't. Sorry, maybe they are. I don't know, man. But
if you consider the butterfly effect, and he's constantly meshing together 7 billion lives and trillions of potential outcomes every day, and remeshing this hyper advanced Rubik's Cube kind of thing to keep it all within his plan, the smallest of details I would think would matter. So if God is sovereign and everything that's happening in the world is happening in the world that he said would happen, how is he communicating this to people? How is the information getting from what he wrote down 2,000 years ago to it happening?
Well, it's because he is he's not restricted by time. He can see the beginning and the end at the same time. So he's already watched a couple billion, DVDs of how our lives are going to play out. So he already knows. He's already seen us in action. He's already seen all the people. He's given us our nature. We are affected by our surroundings, by our environment, by our experiences, and all of that shapes who we are and what we'll do in a given situation. So he's already seen it from beginning to end.
Okay, so you're preying on this job opportunity.
Yeah.
Can you describe the feeling you got that led you to close it, to put it off?
Yeah, it was a feeling of, I just knew. I knew it was the right thing to do. See, me, I've always believed that the quote unquote, the air quotes, voice of God, it's basically just your intuition. Okay? I mean, I think that there's definitely some Holy Spirit in there, because there are times that I figure things out that there's no way I figured it out on my own. It just happened. There are times like I had talked about, I don't even know if I talked about it with the three of you, but I talked about it with people at church. I witnessed to someone recently, okay? This is something I am very reluctant to do to a stranger. I am still working on it, okay? This is one of my flaws as a Christian case maker. And but this guy just came in my office. I know him. He's a vendor. I have a good vibe about him. And he just looked down, and I knew there was something wrong, and something inside me, more than just my normal caring about people, made me ask him what's wrong. And this guy decided to pour his life onto the table for me, okay? And it was real. And he's not one of those, one of them people like we were talking about earlier today. Yeah, their life story in 5 minutes. He's not like that. So this guy chose to confide in me, and I felt compelled, where it was like welling up inside of me. I felt compelled to confess to him, to witness, and just be like, look, man, here's what I'm going to do to help you. I'm going to hook you up with this guy, this guy, this guy. I've done 4 of the 5 things we talked about, sent him an email, and all I asked from him in return was that he watched the Christ movie that just came out. What was it? And I have to follow up with him.
The case for, not the case.
Yeah, the one with the reporter. Yeah,
I saw that this weekend too. Great
movie.
And that one, good job of capturing.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
I mean,
movie.
That was like conversations I had.
And so I just asked him to watch The Case for Christ, and then just get back to me. Now I owe him an email to just double check, because we agreed. Yeah, we'll talk the next couple weeks. So it's been about that time. I don't want to be pushy, but man, I'm telling you, I told that dude things that I haven't told some of my close friends, that I'm easing into the idea that all this is real.
Okay. All right, that's good. But I guess what I want to know is how, if God wants someone to do something, how does he make them do it?
Well, I can only speak from personal experience. And for me, it's always just been a compulsion I just know I need to do this. Doesn't always make sense either. Good example is, and I didn't realize what it was until well into it, at the time anyway, right? So the example I use is taking that job and moving to China. I refused that job for better part of a year. I had no interest in living in China. I didn't want anything to do with China. I mean, as far as going there. And I kept refusing it, turning it down. I'm like, guys, look, I'm not interested. I just am not interested. I'm good. Everything's good. I don't need to do this, And they kept throwing more money, all this other stuff. I said, you know what? Look, it's just not for me, man. I'm not that guy, And then I just woke up one day and for no apparent reason just decided, I'm going to accept that job. I'm going to do it. And I accepted it, went in and quit, and moved to China. And I didn't realize what it was all about until I was already there for, a year. And I really didn't get the whole picture until, 3 years ago when my youngest was born. I didn't really quite put the whole
So you now recognize that God was doing something in your life to get you out there.
No doubt.
But it would be like 12 years later before you realize.
Yeah, no doubt about this. That was all put in place, and if I wouldn't have followed that direction, I don't know what my life would be now. I don't know. Probably be stuck in the same job, making about the same amount of money, chasing a degree that would never pay me more. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? I don't know what would have happened. So, but it was more or less. One day I just was like, the thought popped in my head, and I was like, "That's it. I'm taking that job. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." And I just did it. And I still don't, other than the obvious explanation, why I changed my mind absolutely overnight. The day before, no. I woke up the next day. I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm just going to do it. I had been at my job for 12 years. I basically grew up in that place and had some pension and some stuff that I'm walking away from a lot. And I did it anyway. And, some people, that's insane. But no, it actually turned out to be the exactly what I needed to do.
It is one thing I have noticed. People never regret the things they tried, but they regret the things they didn't.
Yeah.
I think that's one problem in my hometown is I'm surrounded by people that never left my hometown.
Yeah. They peaked in high school, and that's it. They think they're still there. Or college.
The way the social atmosphere is there, it is very much like a high school. I mean, Betsy, my ex, had her 50-year-old friend literally doing high school girl type of stuff to me. Like pulling me out to the side of a party to have a conversation that I thought was heartfelt and sincere, but she's just sending notes to Betsy on all the things that I was saying outside. Like this is a 50-year-old woman and you're playing.
Some people never grow up.
Like first of all, how do you get a mature woman to do that? How did two women?
She's not mature.
Right.
She's just 50. Just because you're 50 doesn't mean you're mature.
Right, that's right. Yeah. Speaking from maybe.
Speaking from experience.
Well, Grosse Ile is a different social. It's incredibly cliquey.
It's the water system.
I have no idea what's going on over there.
It's just as very. It's insulated. It's an island.
Yeah. There's good fishing off of the.
It's a nice place that is surrounded by downriver. I mean, it is downriver, which is the armpit of Detroit, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
The people there just generational families typically. Like my family's been there over 100 years. And I couldn't imagine not having been away. I mean, who knows what.
Yeah.
But all I know is these guys were my best friends at one point, and they were just strangers. I mean, they don't even like me anymore.
Well.
No, I'm maybe not. That's not necessarily all me, but
that's what I'm saying.
There's no friendship there.
Yeah, it's. I don't think that's your fault. Don't be so hard on yourself, man.
I did a.
You're likable enough.
Thank you, I appreciate that. No, I'm way less likable than I used to be. And the thing with what happened in my hometown, there was like a steamroller coming. I was just thinking of that scene in Austin Powers where the steamroller's like 50 feet away and he's screaming. Because that's exactly what I did. I just didn't get out of the way.
Yeah.
I did a lot to flatten myself. All I had to do was step aside. I had 1,000 chances, but never did. I had to confront everyone. Why'd you turn your back on me? Why'd you believe my ex? She spread every frickin' rumor.
Well, I mean, in the same way, you were acting like you were in high school, too. That's the way you would do in high school.
Yeah, you're right. I did,
Yeah.
And I was a little bitch right back, and I thought I was all good about it because there were some rules I would not break. Now I don't know if you call what we do on the radio gossiping if I vent about my ex. No one on Grosse Ile listens to this show, but I've never spread a single rumor about her. If I ever had anything to say, it was the truth. Maybe I was angry.
Yeah,
and that was. To my face, she'd always be like, "Oh, everything's great." But then I'd realize that all these things were going on behind the scenes. It was was unsettling for a while. Still is at times.
Dude, it just reminded me of what I call junior high.
Yeah, and the thing
that
is,
was my life in junior high. That's why I was so happy to get out of it.
I did not have that experience in high school. High school was clickless for me. For most of the people we grew up, I mean, that's how I thought of it. Now that I'm on the outside looking in, I can see why a lot of people were like, I'm busting out of here after high school. I did not have that feeling. Like, I loved my hometown until I brought my ex there. And now it's completely changed. A lot of it's me.
Don't you love it when you introduce someone? I experienced this high school time. Don't you love it in your situation where you introduce someone to the group and then the group rejects you and keeps that person?
Hey, this guy's pretty cool, but you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty much.
No, that's what I mean.
We're pretty much done with you.
If I dwell on my worldly mind, that's what she did to me. Like, and it was fucking masterful. And in a lot of ways, it's hard to say because I've always taken pride in my street smarts, but I got played very well. And I kept making the same mistake, like the same trick kept working on me over and over and over.
Keep trying to kick that football.
Yeah, basically.
Yep. He was Charlie Brown.
Can't fault you for
then again,
not giving up.
Maybe he was the football.
Well, usually, tenacity pays off. Like if you keep digging away at something, you're going to have success in it. Normally, it's not some magic formula. You're born with some incredible talent. You just go out there, do it, and you're signed for $1 million. Everyone, you got to.
If you're in a hole, you just got to dig yourself out.
So
or bury yourself.
I don't even know how we got on this
Tunnel to
tangent,
a
but we were.
How does God compel people to do things? How does he get people to make? How does he make people do stuff? And then a follow-up question would be, how do you discern what it is that's compelling you to do things?
This is what I wanted to ask, because I don't know if I could judge it just by, is this a better offer? Because Grosse Seal was not a better life moving back here from the life in Chicago. Just forget God. God was introduced into my life as I was getting back here. But I
guess it depends on your definition of a better life.
Well, so this is what I'm.
Because your Chicago life doesn't sound like a better life to me.
Oh my God!
No, it may have been for you, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, look, you're married. That's different now. But we chose to come here, and it was going to be less money. It was going to be small town. It was going to be, and I understand now why I came here. But it was, I do believe it was absolutely in God's plan to go back, because I think God wanted to humble me, which He may not be done doing. I think you're good, but just saying.
You never can't tell.
No, humbling is part of it.
So I get it now why He brought me here. Like, I used to rely on the approval of the group a lot more, and now, solitude does not scare me like it used to, at all. At least not, That used to scare me. It scares a lot of people. People are afraid of being alone. So if I were to judge it by, is this going to be a better move, I don't know if I would have, I might miss one of God's messages if that's the criteria that. Think of the people that are listening, that hear everyone else say, oh, God talks to me. God puts feeling. Because for 42 years of my life, I did not, I rolled that stuff. I was still eye-rolling it after I knew Jesus Christ really was the Son of God, and He really did come to earth. I'd get the same reaction of it. It would upset me when people would say, oh, I talked to God. And actually, I'm like, F you. What do you mean you talk to God? Oh, you have a relationship with the creator of the universe? Really? Do you really?
Oh, we all do.
Like He's taking time out to talk to you?
We should.
I have to disagree with something though. I don't agree that God makes you do anything. I don't.
Well,
No, God gives you opportunities. It's all about free will.
That's why I use the word compel.
Yeah.
It compels you to do things. You can
Well, look
always-
at-
honestly, though, can you? If God wants you to do something,
you will do it.
can you escape it? Did Jonah get away? He tried to escape by shit? He got tracked down and pulled back.
Yeah, just not
Well,
the way he thought.
you could take that theory, right? So if let's say God is compelling you
Yeah.
to do something, and we've all had these feelings, right? You should be doing something or you shouldn't be doing something, and you start going down the wrong path. Does he put, if he knows you're doing something, does something happen to where all of a sudden you wake up and say, "Oh, that's the wrong path"?
Well, it may not be that abrupt. It may be while you're
Yeah.
sitting in a prison cell, and you go, "Oh,
Yeah.
should have probably listened to that feeling I had back." So I don't know if it's always so cut and dry. It's like, me in hindsight, taking that job in China was absolutely something that needed to happen, and of course, given my belief system, God had something to do with it. The more cut and dry thing is I didn't really know that, but if I'm sitting at a bar and two hookers come up and say, "Hey, 2-for-1 deal this weekend, you can take us both," I'm pretty sure that's from Satan. So,
But what if they said they were sent from God?
they're not.
I'd have to trust that
They're
one.
not. But see, that's a cut and dry, easy.
They wouldn't lie to me.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
That's an easy one. It's the more subtle, vague stuff that you have to, you got to pray on this stuff. You have to be patient.
Let me ask you another, kind of along that same line that you're on right now. When you did the thing to China, would it be that if you didn't do it this time, maybe it's in a few months or in a year, or you know what I mean?
I don't know. I given everything that went down for me anyway, and that was just this one situation. Doesn't mean it's going to be like this in every situation for me either. It could, but this time, I think if I wouldn't have followed up on it, I would have missed my window on that, and probably wouldn't have turned out so great. I don't really know what could or would have happened, but it wouldn't have been this. So
There's probably other opportunities, though, right?
yeah, it could be in a third failed marriage and, some more child support. But it didn't go that way. So, and who knows? These kids will grow up to do something, and maybe we'll see. But sometimes these things take a whole lifetime to play out.
All right, so you guys are basically saying that your communications with God are driven by emotions you feel.
That's probably a fair way to put it. Yeah.
Do you guys put any
think the whole
stock
is-
into signs? Like if an ad for Kansas City pops up while
Yeah,
you walk.
absolutely.
Do you think that's
Sure.
All the time.
Yeah.
Stuff like
absolutely.
that all the time. There's only one time, and that was during this trip, that at this thing in this job in China, where I'm 100% positive it was a voice. I could say it was God's voice, but I don't really know that. It could have just been a voice that he put there, but definitely wasn't mine. It's the only time in my life it's ever happened.
Is that when you walked into the bar and
Yeah,
that's your
when
wife?
When I met my wife the first time, and it was really, really freaky, and still is freaky, but it's never. And I honestly don't know if I want that to happen ever again. To be quite honest, it shook me up a little bit.
Yeah. With me, God gave me what I asked for, because I was looking. This was about in my 40s. Had been a bachelor, some long relationships. And I was actually looking, I wanted to have a child. It's why I broke off the engagement I was in before Betsy, because I wanted to have a family. And she always said she didn't, so it's not like she changed her mind or anything. She was always honest with me. It was a great relationship. I loved the girl. In fact, looking back on it, she got away because, trust me, when what am I trying to say here? You don't realize what you have until sometimes when you lose it.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
Her name was Chris. Great girl.
What's her number?
Yeah.
Look, Tony.
Oh, she's probably taken. She was really pretty. She did improv at Second City.
Nice.
So hilarious, awesome figure. Just playboy.
Didn't want any kids.
Mm-mm.
Oh, well.
Maybe she thought you were enough.
No,
I have a kid already.
She had a really lousy relationship with her pops.
Yep,
and
that happens.
She didn't want to bring a kid into it.
Yeah, she'll
Anything,
have
whatever.
I respect that decision.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll come back with more experiences.
I still want to get to the bottom. I've got some questions. I want to get to the bottom of a few things.
Okay.
So
we got a couple of more experiences to share, too. So
We'll be here.
we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole.
I think sheep is plural for lamb.
You think so?
I don't know.
For like lamb,
I just want to make sure I'm not sounding weird when I say sheep taste good.
lamb,
Lamb
me.
tastes good.
Lambs are less than 1 year of age.
So it's a baby sheep.
Yeah.
It's the same animal, Chris.
Thanks,
Google.
You're the dick now, Dave.
That's okay. I'm
Yeah.
born that way.
But what if
and,
Google's not telling you the truth?
Maybe.
Sheep eaten.
But you mean I've been eating goat all this? But goat's good
This
too.
is the
so I don't care.
Yeah.
No, we've had stupider conversations.
Yes,
Way
absolutely.
stupider.
All right, I have not heard something compelling of how God makes the
Okay,
world move.
I got two things for you. I'll do both quick. I'll try and do
Quick?
them
All
quick,
right,
yeah.
someone get your watch out.
First of all, I did have an experience. I did have one experience like Dave's, where a voice that wasn't mine told me something, and that was when we came to the church. Okay, and we had unsuccessfully been to several churches trying to find a church to learn more about the Bible, a place our family could thrive. And when I walked into the church I'm at now, which is also the church that DiBiase goes to, he wasn't there yet. Walked down the hallway. I didn't know anybody, but I still had the guts to walk in that place. Not wait in the parking lot. Hey, dude, what time are you gonna be here? We just walked right in, And first person that greeted me, when he shook my hand, the way he looked at me, the way he welcomed me, I heard a voice in my head literally say, "You're home. You found it. You're home."
Now, is that a metaphor, or is
No,
this like an
literally.
audible, discernible?
Well, I don't know that anybody else around me heard it, but I know that I heard it. It was not my voice, the normal intuition.
Did you ever bring
I
that
get.
up to your wife?
Yeah.
Did she hear it?
She didn't say whether she did or she didn't. And then so I did have the one voice experience. I don't know, in the scope of things, it could be just as profound.
No, it's
as,
profound, dude.
as Dave's situation.
It just started.
Yeah, because it just started,
This hasn't played out
it
yet.
was very important to me to find a church. I was really trying.
Now, did that church become home because you heard that voice, or
Oh, trust me, if I see a red flag, first I'll talk to Dave.
Yeah, and then we're both
Then
out.
then
we're
we'll
both
and
out.
then we'll talk to management, and then we're both out. As soon as I see a red flag,
Yeah,
one red flag?
one.
yeah, one.
Really?
Yeah.
In a church environment? Oh,
In a church environment, yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, the second they start telling me there's other ways to heaven.
Nah.
Well, that's a.
It's a red flag, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
How about a church that has a Santa with a sleigh flying over the audience?
See, for me,
I don't know. It's not going to happen in my church.
yeah, for me,
'Cause I got yelled at for-
I got to tell you, for me, I think we'd be out. I think my wife would be like, this isn't.
that was the.
This isn't it.
We went with Kat to. Oh, you came to that
Yeah,
too. We
to
went
North-
to that
yeah.
show.
Yeah, it was cool.
But the
You
minute
know.
I saw a Santa reindeer, I'm just
I know, dude, and I'm with you on that.
because there's something like I don't want to be all bah humbug.
I get it.
because I still celebrate Christmas. But if I was the pastor of that church, I'd specifically not even let that image.
Exactly.
happen.
Yeah.
I'm with you
I'm
on
with you.
that. And that's where I would be like, this isn't, can you imagine if they came out and said, hey, this Sunday Santa's going to come for the kids? I'd be like, yeah,
Huh?
what?
Well, I know who I'd be looking right at.
They would never do it, though. See, I already know this.
Yeah.
It would never
No,
happen.
it's not going to happen.
All right, so you
not
said
gonna
two
happen.
experiences.
So
one
second-
is you heard this voice. Okay.
So one I did have a voice experience. The second experience is my wife's job. Okay. Healthcare was crippling us. I was taking care of it out of my small business, and thanks to Obama and his wonderful care, my rates tripled to a point where it was almost $2,000 a month for my family. In a down economy at the time, it was crippling my business to provide health care for my family. And if that's not going to piss you off as a man trying to take care of your family,
That's a tough, yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had chosen several months earlier before it got to this point. My wife's like, look, my job's a dead end. I love my job, but I'm not getting paid squat. I'm going back to school. I want to become a medical assistant. I want to make more money. So we went to a couple different schools, and we talked to a couple different schools, and we chose Ross. Okay, and the reason why we chose Ross Education, they were all 6-month courses, same price range, but Ross was a little more expensive than the other two we went to. But the reason why we went to Ross was because Ross told us that they were a feeder for U of M Healthcare Network. Now, I grew up around here. I've got friends who have attended and graduated. One of them sitting here, U of M alumni.
Go blue, baby.
But I've also got several friends who work for U of M, and it's a dream job. It's a job you retire from. If you get in, that you're not going to get paid. You're not going to get a better compensation package than you're going to get at U of M, at least in the medical division. You may make $1 less an hour, but what you make up for in benefits.
Yeah.
And it's even at a point now where, as Gurley has been comparing, because she, people are looking at her, she's well liked and she's great at her job. When she's talking to her friends or going to other hospitals, they're not even making more money now.
Yeah.
So U of M has stepped up. Now they're giving you the best benefits and pay that is absolutely on par with their competition.
So how's God involved in this?
Okay. So we chose this school. When it came down to it, my wife's like, I don't care. They all seem the same to me. What do you think? I'm like, you go to Ross. Because I questioned him. Oh, really? U of M feeder. What's she got to do? All you got to do is the top of the class gets their pick, And you go to our school. If you're in the top of your class, if your grades are, we can guarantee you an opportunity to work for U of M. Okay? All right. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Well, see, the difference is I hold people accountable for what they tell me. So Gurley went to their school. She was in the top of her class. She was so high up in her class that she won a statewide achievement award for outstanding academic excellence in adult. I don't remember exactly the whole thing, but basically it's like, working adults who have gone back for continuing education. Okay, she was one of 2 people submitted in the entire Ross system, which has like 9 campuses. She was one of 2 people that was submitted by Ross for this, and she's the only one that won it. Okay, this is a statewide, this is a big deal. There was a big gala presentation ceremony at Schoolcraft College. This was a really big deal, okay? How much, she's the only one that won it. Wouldn't you say she's pretty much the cream of the crop of her class?
Yeah.
So where does God come into this story?
I'm getting there.
Okay. Did he say quick before this story began?
No, I said I can do one quick.
This is why I'm a dick. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so she did everything Ross asked her to do. Yet when it comes time to get a job, she ends up working at urgent care for practically the same money she was making before we went $20,000 in debt for her to make more money. And she's trying to put out resumes, but the problem is they want at least a year of experience under their belt. Okay, so she's not going to get anything. So now we've got this new debt added on. My wife started suffering panic attacks while trying to work and keep her grades up and take care of her family. And Ross is not fulfilling their end of the deal. So it got to a point where I'm calling Ross on her behalf, going, hey, you promised her U of M. Why isn't she in front of U of M? Well, blah, blah, blah. Well, basically it turns out that Ross doesn't care. Okay? Shock. But the deal is, all they care about is their numbers. So the fact that my wife was employed straight out of Ross, it fits their statistics. So if they have another person who needs a job, they're not going to give that job to my wife because it's better and she deserves it, because that'll lower their stats. Okay?
Well, she already got a job, so they
exactly.
Yeah,
so they don't care about us anymore, except the payments they want us to make.
Well, which it's fair.
Yeah.
You signed on the dotted line, so
yeah,
you own the money.
And I don't have a problem with that, but that lady in that conversation guaranteed her an opportunity to work at U of M that they never fulfilled.
Yeah.
She should have not made that guarantee.
Sure.
And then I wouldn't be mad. Okay? So time goes by. We get to a point, 9 months, we're fighting, she's upset, I'm trying to encourage her, and she's miserable, okay? And she's not worried about U of M. She's just upset that I went through all of this to get a better job and I'm not getting a better job. So I told her, you know what? Forget about it. This all happened right as we first joined Bethlehem Baptist Church. Okay, right as we first joined the church. And I'm like, look, babe, I think it's about the year thing. They want to see a year of experience on your resume, even though the rest of your resume is ridiculous with your administrative experience and work as a rehab tech and schooling and all that other stuff. Even though your resume is great, they before they give you the MA job, they want to see a year under your belt, you know? I'm like, so you know what? Forget it. We'll survive. We're going to figure out a way to do it. Let's just put it in God's hands. If God wants you to work at U of M, you're going to work at U of M. Yeah, you're right. So we prayed about it a little bit, okay? We prayed about it. We put it in U of M's hands. We put it in God's hands. Within 2 weeks, she started getting her phone blown up by someone she hadn't talked to in 5 years, that she's never had better than a tenuous relationship with to begin with. Why was she calling her? Because this person went to Ross and got into U of M, and U of M needed an MA for a new doctor at their facility. And so they're like, well, they asked this person, they're like, hey, do you know anybody? And she's like, I worked with someone who also went to Ross, and she was a really hard worker. Yeah, actually I do know somebody. And when the boss is like, okay, have her come in tomorrow, now she's blowing up my wife's phone going, you got to come in here. You got a chance, blah, blah, blah. Okay. My wife sailed through that interview, got the job, got like a $5 an hour raise, and then the health benefits that removed the burden. Like the last month I could afford it. I'm like really freaking out. I don't know if we're going to have health care next month. All of a sudden, U of M, she takes care of the health care. Now, the way that whole thing went down, maybe I didn't do the best job of telling that story. But I find it odd that if God wasn't involved, it was pretty much the moment when I stopped trying to beat Ross up into establishing into fulfilling their end of the bargain, and we gave it up to God. Within 2 weeks, she got the exact job that she wanted when she went to school 9 months prior. I have no doubt in my mind.
No, I'm with you. I believe you, and I think that's. Have you guys felt stuff like that in your life too?
Yeah,
I have.
And you'll have people that will, they'll have people that will eye roll that. They may to your face go, "Wow, man, that's really cool."
They were going to hire someone, okay?
Right?
It had to be
right,
someone.
But why did this person who hadn't talked to her in 5 years?
Again, all the details really. My only point on this is it really only matters to you guys.
Right.
It doesn't really matter what anybody thinks about it.
Right.
If that's how it went down, and ABC, it all lined up, and that's where you're at with it, then it doesn't really matter if people poo-poo that or roll their eyes at it. Because I know, telling my story, people are like, oh, whatever, you're just doing that to...
Right, but but we take it differently because we know you entirely. We know your entire body of work. So when you say something like that happens to you, it carries a lot more weight because you're a very honest, trustworthy, and forthright person.
Yeah. But there still would be like, dude, okay, you're just, you're just doing that.
Maybe if you would have told me that story before everything went down, I might have had a different reaction, but you did tell me after, and I was just like, okay.
Right. I
mean, I went on autopilot with my wife. My mother died. I was taking care of my mother. Had just gone through an awful, awful ending relationship. And my mom just woke up one morning, went to the hospital, never came back. I was crushed. And then all of a sudden, Girly appears in my life. When I was at a point where I'm just like thinking about men, I'm like, you know what? Maybe just that.
Maybe.
What did this flyer from heaven say?
They do know how.
No gender. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know it at that point.
Tony, have you ever had something like that happen? I mean, do you think God's ever communicated with you in some way?
There's been a couple things where I've thought that, and but it's not something that I would share on air.
I would say
what?
Well, at the
Don't
very
be a puss.
at the very
on.
least, and I've known you for some time, so I can kind of speak freely on this.
Do you know what this is that he won't share? Now
no
idea.
idea.
I'm all curious.
But and that's his business. But
you have to.
I
share
think
on it.
the fact that he's sitting behind that microphone.
How funny! I was going to
Says
say the same
something.
thing.
Yeah.
That proves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's proof.
Absolutely proves it. Actually, I think even more so than us three sitting here, because it just kind of the way everything kind of transpired. You're now receptive to things that you weren't before.
Mm-hmm.
That's true for all of us.
Yep.
Tony's he's been so smooth.
I think
there's no drama, at least that I
he
pick
keeps
up.
it tight to the vest.
I
like tea. I like tea.
But if there's anyone needs proof, so that's it. There you go. So what happened to put you in this position to research the stuff you're researching, to try to find the answers when you could have just
how did he?
You could have just blew me off. You could have you just been like, whatever. The guy lost his mind, and moved on.
Well, and honestly, I did that somewhat, but it's kind of like this thing we talked about earlier. It's having this Matrix-like feeling. There's something different, right? So when
something's off about
something's
the world,
off, and about certain things.
If you really look into things, the world does not make sense the way it's presented to us.
Exactly. Matter of fact, when you start getting to some of these things that we talk about here on the show and outside the show, things start to make more sense to you.
Yep.
Then you start thinking, okay, that's logical. This is logical. This pieces are coming together where it makes sense. Whereas if you just take, how it's presented to us, like the thing we talked about here at break,
which we can't.
you just things that aren't right. So when Dave, the point I was going with,
What are we talking about at break?
Forget it.
One word just remind me.
the thing we're not going to talk about.
The thing we're not going to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that you guys love Adolf Hitler?
Oh my God!
I'm just kidding.
That's
kidding.
a horrible thing.
It's a
to say.
joke. Keep going.
He's the devil, right? Anyway, so when you and I started talking, Dave, and then Mark, you guys started hitting me with different things. First of all, it's an overload. You're like, oh, what are these guys? Where are they coming from?
Right.
This is I don't know anything about any of this stuff. So I started looking into it a little bit, and it took a while. You started looking into IG Farben, you started looking into Agenda 21, and you start kind of going down the path, and then you start looking at different things like 9/11, and then there's things you just start saying, hey, wait a minute, something's not right here. And I don't know for sure what it was, where all of a sudden it just kind of clicked,
Keep going.
It's just, but at some point, something kind of clicked, light bulb went off, and you start thinking, oh, wait a minute, there's something to this. And you start investigating it like that. And like I said, with me, I was anxious, kind of screwed up before, for a short period of time, thinking like, hey, just to break it down, my feelings on this is, if things are going the way they are, it has to be controlled not by just a couple people in a room. There has to be a good and evil for this whole situation to happen. And that's what I believe. And when that went off, when that light bulb went off, finally I'm thinking like, well, there's something to, if there's evil, then there's good. And you start investigating into that. And we'd always talked about, I had the same kind of things. You turn on a religious TV station or a radio, it's like turn, and people would start talking about it, and you just kind of tune it out. And, it was something you didn't really want to know, something you really didn't want to get to. You thought you knew it. I thought I knew about religion. I thought I knew this.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff we're all brought up with. You thought, well, no. Religion's not really real. That's just a man-made thing, and that's fake. And this is what happened. Man evolved over all these different things, and you start believing all this stuff until that light bulb goes off, and then you start looking at things a little bit differently. And then things start to really make sense when I read the Bible now, and I'm going through this stories, and I can pick what's important in those passages you read. It's like something goes off. Oh, right there it is. Right. Oh, here's what the important information is. And like I said before, I listen to other people that'll go through the same passage and they'll get a totally different message out of it. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think that's the message. There's something more important here. It's not just
I'm this like when the Las Vegas shooter came out. Like within a few hours, I was already saying to my family that this is not some lone crazy guy. I guarantee you, he'll have some sort of a military background, or he'll be involved in some kind of mind control.
Funny
something.
how fast that went away too, right?
Oh, it's done.
It's done.
Yeah, nothing to see
We
here.
didn't get videotapes.
We get nothing.
We didn't get nothing. We didn't get interviews
We didn't
with
get a motive.
victims. We didn't get a motive. It's just gone.
It was kind of like not a big story, considering it was the biggest mass execution of U.S. citizens in history.
it's not over.
Recent history.
Recent history. Yeah.
It's not over.
What was bigger?
I
Wounded
believe
Knee.
Wounded Knee was
Yeah.
bigger.
Oh,
Yeah.
so a Civil War battle?
That
Or
was
no,
slaughtered Native Americans.
Yeah.
The Battle of Wounded Knee.
Yeah, that was a bigger mass shooting.
Then I will say recent. Okay.
But recent, yeah. No, recent modern history, yeah. And
Well, the important thing is, like I said, it's not over. You guys know that the 10th witness just died.
yeah, hit and run.
Yeah.
Where do you hear? You don't hear about any of this stuff.
No, none of
you look at it. There's 10 people. 10 witnesses died. Well, this lady died in her sleep.
Yeah, the couple that survived the shooting then died in a car accident a week
Yeah.
later, and then
Another
On
guy
and
gets
on.
run over, and
it's the death rates around these events is incredible. From 9/11 to Sandy
It's
Hook.
improbable.
I don't know about the Las Vegas. Certainly with JFK.
Totally improbable.
The number of insiders that died a young, improbable death. Sure, one or two of them could have been true, but 120? Really?
Right, yeah.
Come on. Over a 3-year period? Of,
Yeah,
of the 600 people with personal connection to the event, 120 of them are dead in their 30s and 40s. Really?
Yeah.
and you have the thing is most. I can't say most because I think a lot of people are waking up to reality, right? They're kind of seeing, like a lot of people in this Las Vegas. A lot of people are talking about it, right? A lot of people are talking
it's
about
the first time I've seen where I would almost consider it mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
That everyone's like, no, dude, this stinks.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you call something like this out, and you're such an abominable person, so despicable that you shouldn't even be saying this word shouldn't be coming out of your. How dare you?
Right.
Even But this time, I would say it's almost mainstream where people are like, no, dude, this is smell a rat.
Yeah, I've seen. To be honest with
Smell
you,
a rat.
with everything that's going on and the studying I'm doing on my own stuff and the study we do for the show, I forget about Las Vegas until I run across an article by somebody reminding me that,
It happened. Yeah.
Las Vegas, wow, isn't it weird how that went away?
It's gone, dude.
I
And
mean-
there's nothing else coming out.
I mean, we heard about 9/11 for 6-8 months.
No, it's still
10 years. I mean,
yeah, still here.
No, but I'm saying, the news coverage, it was on a
it was
24
covered. It was covered daily.
yeah,
on,
probably-
on MSNBC for a 24-hour news cycle for months.
yeah,
Because that's all I watched. I know.
yeah. It was on.
Oh, did they get Bin Laden? Did they catch anything? Anything else come
Yeah.
out? And it was just the same stories over and over again, regurgitated. But I watched it for 6 months or better before I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Las Vegas, 500 people, 2 weeks. 2 weeks gone,
Well, case closed.
and we
dude.
know nothing about this guy. Nothing.
Well, we know that his brother was picked up for
Yeah.
some child porn or something.
Yeah. So there's, but that is one that people are kind of
Yeah.
they're catching mainstream. But even if you go back to 9/11 and you talk to people about 9/11 at all, they're still
Oh yeah.
locked in.
Dude,
on it.
you will hit a brick wall
Yeah.
with 9/11.
See,
What do you
Look-
mean?
Oh, dude, I was talking
People
to
still argue that
Yeah.
that was just.
I was talking
exactly
to a
what
group
they
of
said.
a group of people in the know. I don't know how much in the know, but they believe in the Bible. So,
Yeah,
and I mentioned 9/11, and I got eyes rolling.
yeah. It's really quite amazing. It's the.
And I'm like, really? In this day and age, really?
I know, dude. I know. I just recently got into an argument where, and I don't anymore. I don't really get angry with arguments anymore. I just kind of whatever. Dude, believe what you want. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm
Yeah,
the same.
whatever.
You can look at all that evidence, and you're just looking at a picture of a red dot. But if the television tells you it's a blue dot, you're just going to say it's
just a blue dot. Yeah.
Really, is that who you are as a person? Are you that brain? really, you're that far? I've had some people circle back to me.
Yeah, this just happened within the last 2-3 weeks. And it was I was really actually kind of shocked because the person I was talking to is also, a believer. I thought pretty open-minded, and of course, the media continuously lies because I guess only because Trump is president. I guess back then they didn't lie.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's just me. But it got kind of heated, and I was like, You really believe that? Like, you really think they found this guy's passport intact? You really believe that?
Intact.
It's even possible? It's not possible.
Yeah, and 2 airplanes disappeared into thin air.
There's just no. It just
here's a good one about that.
Jive. Dude.
Here's a good one about that passport. If anyone was walking along the street after that and found a passport, right? Would you think that was the terrorist?
I wouldn't think it was someone dropped it. It
You
certainly
think
didn't
somebody
come from that plane.
Exactly.
No way.
Yeah. So somebody found this, and then all of a sudden,
within an hour or two, they knew who all 19 of these guys were.
Mm-hmm.
But then the BBC did that report, and they found, like, of the 19, they found 8 or 9 still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them they were talking to their parents that morning. Some of these guys had regular jobs in the Middle East and had no idea their pictures were even on national news.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this person actually, for a second, was arguing that another building didn't fall.
Building 7?
It was, no, what are you talking about? I watched the news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when this was going on. I would have known. Why didn't I know about this?
If they do that, then you've got them. Just go,
well,
here's how brainwashed you are.
Well, I said, I don't know why you didn't know. The only thing I can say is you weren't paying attention close enough. Because another building absolutely did collapse, and it wasn't hit by anything.
But there's only 2 beams of light coming up from ground zero, so there could have only been 2 buildings.
Again, it's just like, but this absolutely did happen. This isn't a conspiracy theory. That building absolutely collapsed. No doubt about it. I watched it. It absolutely,
into its own footprint.
It totally happened.
With no damage.
But that's
it was
how what you get up against where...
You know what the response I got back on that one was? There were terrorists. Hello. It's like, yeah, there were terrorists apparently hit building 1 and 2, but
what about
building 7, there were no terrorists.
Thousands
of
gallons
we're done talking.
of jet fuel.
Oh, you're
we're
crazy.
Done.
How
we're done
dare
talking.
you even suggest that the government would have anything to do with that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So they've just slaughtered millions of people, but in this case, they care.
Right.
Okay. All right, yeah.
But yeah, you see it. I mean, still to this day, that was in 2001.
Still to this day.
Still to this day, people are angry and will want to fight with you about it.
Yeah, you're a moron. How dare you?
Right.
It was a terrorist attack. That's what it was.
It was a terrorist attack. And
but
it was a conspiracy, but just not the
absolutely.
one that you think.
Totally with you. And I just was kind of taken back a little bit by how quickly it got heated. And I actually, at a moment, realized what was actually going on there. Is the reason why it was getting heated. Maybe a little bit too much wine. We'll just throw that out there. But the other reason is because, you think about what we're talking about here, like compulsion, things steering you,
Mm-hmm.
What was going on there was that reaction was totally irrational and just fueled by darkness, dude. There was just no hearing the truth. Even if it was something that nobody would argue, that another building collapsed. This for sure happened. There's no theory here. It's no conspiracy. That building's gone, okay? It fell for sure. But yet, even that, caused a reaction where I had to look it up, go, look, it's right there. It's right there. That thing totally collapsed. Oh, how come I didn't know about it? I said, well, that's a personal issue. I don't
Why
know.
you didn't know about it?
How would I know?
Do you think the lid would have been blowing off this thing? I'm like, so you're back to trusting the media? They're not making any sense to me right now. They lie when you want them to lie, but when you want them to be honest, they're honest? I don't get it.
Yeah, no, they just lie.
All the time.
Now, some people will resolve that inconsistency, and others will just put it away and never revisit it. What is the difference in what's the difference?
I don't know.
If you had to apply one word to it or one phrase, do you guys think it's cowardice? Do you think it's cognitive dissonance?
I think it's cognitive dissonance more than cowardice.
But isn't
this person's?
I think it's
isn't cognitive dissonance have cowardice?
But it's not.
It's not outwardly.
I mean, why does God say that He? I mean, God. People are sometimes surprised when I say in the Bible, do you know God hates and Jesus hates? And they're like, no, Jesus is love, and I'm like, He absolutely is. But are you aware that He also said many times there are people He hates? And He gives a description of people that spread gossip, people that turn their back on the truth, cowards. He hates these people. He also said He hated like the Nicolaitans and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, he's capable of hate. But sometimes you say these things that are in black and white, and it's like this very familiar story, whether it's 9/11 or the Bible. It's been sitting under our nose the whole time, and it's irrelevant because all matters is what our mental picture of what's in there is, even if it doesn't make any sense. For me, 9/11, like that, if I were to answer the question about how does God move you, the only thing one of the things I've known for sure, I've had a few experiences, but one of them was the obsession that was created inside of me from the day that I saw that. It was February 15th, 2011, the day I saw that segment, Bush sitting in the classroom. And it was just a question, you see news bits all the time and you ask yourself, I wonder what, you know what I'm saying. But that one created like an obsession that appeared like a psychosis to those around me. Like,
yeah, you lost it.
And I tried to put it down a lot of times. Like, I'm like, F this. I don't care anymore. Because even while you're still in 9/11, the same thing we talked about at the beginning of this show, like you're deep into it, and your heart knows that the truth of 9/11 is nothing near what the media told us. But you still have those moments where you're like, man, really? Maybe this just was 19 guys. Maybe the airplane in Shanksville really did just, for the first time in history, really did just disintegrate into nothingness. And maybe it happened again at the Pentagon where just a plane disintegrates into nothing. And those 8-ton titanium steel engines that can't burn at 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, somehow, just this time,
they're just gone.
They just were gone within a minute of the cameras being there.
Jet fuel, man.
I actually had those thoughts where my own mind is playing tricks on me. Like, am I looking for trouble here?
Well, this kind of circles around back to what you said at the very beginning that I was interested in. It's like, do you ever question yourself? Like, do you question yourself when we're sitting here talking about these things? And you have to go back, and I do question myself, because you're going to be deceived. Am I being deceived right now? Right? When you start looking at that stuff, am I being deceived right now? And you have to look at it, because I believe these people I'm watching. I flipped, for some reason the TV was on this morning, and the screen was messed up, and I flipped past CNN. I know better than this, but it came on, and there was a guy talking about, they're
Russia.
It's Russia. They're getting close.
How did I know?
Donald Trump is a narcissist, and he's covering up the fact that they're getting close, and they're going to find, expose these ties, this collusion, and all this other kind of stuff. And I think, like, these people are just, to me, you're ridiculous. What are you saying? It's stupid that the people can listen to this and believe this is true.
It's every day for almost a year.
They're getting close. It's like Geraldo Rivera is getting close to finding something in Al Capone's, tomb or whatever that was.
They keep this stuff going,
but you have no idea if you're not. Sorry.
So, but you have a certain amount of people believe this narrative. It's like 9/11. You got a lot of people that say, "Hey, this is BS. This is no way this could happen." Then you got the other people that are like, "What are you, crazy? This was terrorists. This is Bin Laden. This is what happened." And you've got a certain divide of people on total opposite ends, and you start thinking, "Well, I'm over on this end. Am I nuts? Do you guys think that way?"
No, yeah, I do. I do. But then I always rely on critical thinking, right? Something that most people, in my experience, lack. Because they don't really teach us in school anymore.
They don't.
Solving problems.
We're so dumb and we don't know it because we're just taught name and date regurgitation.
Well,
we all have to learn the capitals of all 50 states. When in hell?
Yeah, why?
Has that ever?
It doesn't even matter. You figure it out if you need to know it.
But if you want to get an A in a class, you better learn those.
So the FBI that's investigating this Russia thing, it's the same FBI, right? We only have one FBI. There's not like two FBIs.
Well, there's 17 intelligence agencies if you believe the news.
But we're talking about the FBI.
Yeah.
There's only one FBI, as far as we know, right? It's just the FBI. It's not FBI 1 and FBI 2. It's just the FBI. Well, they've been investigating this Russia thing for a year now, give or take. About a year. But the FBI knew in less than 12 hours that the Las Vegas shooter by no means had any terrorist ties whatsoever.
Yeah.
They were able to go ahead and investigate that in 12 hours. And without a doubt, nope, this guy had no ties. There's no way they're just that good that they figured this out in that amount of time, but yet taken over a year, whatever it is, to find even a smidgen of evidence to bring to trial. So that right there doesn't add 2 plus 2 in this case doesn't equal 4, right? It equals like 5.3, which is not possible. So, but this kind of thought process doesn't occur in most people, I don't think, where they just watch that and go, "Oh yeah, they got him," but they've been getting them for a year, and they got nothing. They got nothing. They literally have nothing. Yeah.
They're going to be talking about this. They're going to be talking about this crap at his re-election campaign.
If any of this stuff was going on, they would have known it way before now because it's been proven. They collect all this information from emails, from voice recordings, from cell phones, all this stuff they know way in advance. So if you're thinking there's something that Michael Flynn, they're going to turn Michael Flynn.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, maybe let's see what they got. I'm betting. If I had to put money down in Vegas, I know what side I'd be putting it on.
Well, and if they find something, good. Go after them.
Exactly.
If there's something, but why isn't there something at this point? So you can't. Just...
Yeah, I mean, what is the initial evidence that has fueled such a massive search?
Well,
I mean, there's got to be something that
somebody
got
said.
this.
Hillary said.
Somebody said.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That was it?
Yeah.
Basically.
So there's no core document or
the only thing that
there was a document that was created from a supposed ex-British spy, right? Who created the dossier.
The dossier that was funded.
The dossier.
Yeah.
So it's a dossier. This is important.
And there's actually criminal charges that could be pending from the procurement of that dossier, by the way.
When they paid for it.
Yeah, of course. They funded it. So, but the whole thing is, if you can't look at that and say, hey, maybe there's something up here, if you're just like, yeah, they'll have them soon, and you don't even think about it, that it's possible that it's BS, because it's totally possible that it's BS.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know yet. They're actually trying to figure out whether it's BS or not, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at the news now, because I used to start from a position of everything's true and we got to find out what the mistakes are, and I now start off with it's all BS and we got to find out what the truth is.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's, I mean, the mirage that is, and once you get inside and you realize how it's done, how they get 30 journalists to report on the same story at the same time.
It's not that hard, actually.
It's so easy.
It's really not that hard.
Really?
Yeah, it's not. It's not that hard.
6 guys can control everything. Well, now it's 5 guys can control everything we watch, read, and listen to.
Absolutely. And it's easy to do.
So, do you know how easy it would be for these guys? Okay, we are not going to cover any stories that, are talking about some internal 9/11 scenario.
Yeah, we're going to kill it
Telling all our reporters, anyone does this, you're fired. But you don't need to. That people care more about their job than they do about
those jobs,
truth and honor
these
days.
They make a ton of money.
Yeah, and that's actually
they're famous.
That's a dangerous thing to pay that much money to a media personality.
Absolutely. You got people making $20, $25 million a year.
I mean, that's a constitutionally protected institution. This might sound very un-American, but I think the people that are presenting the truth of our country's government to the people. These need to be almost like elected officials. There's a capped pay rate, and that's who has terms. More so than congressmen and senators.
Hey, man, I would be cool with that. I mean, even with freedom of speech in general, there's responsibilities that go along with this. We all accept that. Let's not, we all accept that. I mean, there's just some things you're not going to go on TV and say, whether or not you have First Amendment or not, because there's an air of responsibility.
Like your love of Adolf Hitler, for instance, confessing it.
No, it's a terrible rumor to start, but it could be started. See, before I have a haircut to fit it too. So.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
And all you have
Take
to
it easy.
all he has to do is say that,
and people will believe it.
and people will believe it.
Look at me and believe it.
And they will be totally against. They want to hurt you.
Well, and here's how
physically.
things spin now. This is
I've
a really
seen
good.
that personally.
This is a really good example because you could say it. People will look at me and judge me by my appearance and say, "Yep, it's true. The guy's a Nazi." And then someone would say, well, wait a minute, his wife's not white. And they would say, well, he just married her, so people can't call him a Nazi.
Yeah.
You see how this goes.
Yeah, they'll explain
and
it
I'm
away.
done. I'm all done. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you do now. I can never get over that stigma that was just thrown out there to throw it out there, because that first idea that enters your head is very hard to undo.
It is. In fact, there's a quote in the book from Mark Twain, and it says, "It is easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them they've been fooled."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which
very
I
true.
love the quote.
That's true.
And that's one thing that it's funny, but the same strategy that the media uses to sell stories to the public, my ex used in my hometown, bombarding so much rumor, and it's circulate, and it's the only thing that's being heard. And
Yeah, he who speaks first controls the narrative, man.
It's going to start.
Right.
Some of it's going to start to stick. And you're right. One thing about a guy they've known for 40 years, okay, but now all of a sudden, it all came from one source. Think of the parallel here. The parallels between Satan and my ex-wife. It all originates from one source. Now, the mainstream media is 4 or 5 little outlets, which then control a billion conversations. And the same thing happened in my hometown. She had found a couple of girlfriends that were willing to, go do the legwork. They weren't doing it under the guise of, let's fuck over Dave Hooper. Betsy was just she's a very good storyteller of things that are not true. She's like, oh, well, he was abusive, and I had to support him, and he didn't give me any money for the house. And you start to say and he hit me. And eventually,
Yeah.
people start to go, wow, man.
Well, now you grew up there. You spent most of your life there. And
This was an argument I had with my friends. I'm like, dude, you've known me for 40 years.
Yeah.
I've dated Carla, Marina, Ginger, Jill Scott for long periods of time. They're from my hometown. I then lived with guys from my hometown in Chicago.
Not dating.
Not dating, though.
No, just roommates,
Okay.
guys.
Okay. You gotta-
Single
We're just
guys
checking.
living
We're
in
just checking. We're just checking.
into our 30s. And these guys are still very connected to Grosse Ile. And I'm like, if you really think I've ever struck a woman, don't you think you would have known about that by now? I mean, it would have been the
But you
story.
see what happens now is now all she did was run her mouth. But now what you're forced to do is go around.
No,
and
running your mouth is talking too much of things that are real. She made things up, just made them up.
Well, okay, but it was just verbal, right?
Right.
She just said some stuff. And now you're not forced, but I mean, if you were to try to rectify the situation, now you're forced to go around and prove your innocence when you didn't do anything.
That is the insidious thing about what
and
was
most
done.
of them
is
won't believe you.
It's a fish hook, because once it goes in, you can't pull it back. You can't put this genie back in the
Yeah,
bottle.
you can't undo it.
It's out.
Yeah.
And it's not like, people are not knocking on my door. Dave, I would like to get your side of the story. And
No, they just buy it.
I'm not going to walk up, go out and just go, hey, by the way, I don't know if you guys heard.
Right.
But I don't beat women, just so you guys know. Just to defend yourself.
Exactly.
You're guilty. And it was so insidious. Now, other people weren't aware of this because on the surface, she's a very nice, sweet person on the surface. But, once you're in the inside, and I lived with her for several years. It took me 2 years to figure out just the level of deceit, which I think I told you guys we bought the house. We bought that house together. That you guys have been there.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't there, but
And over the course of about 20 months, I gave her $100,000, which I tapped into my old company, Eldercare, to give her. And the idea was we split the company 50-50, the one that produces this show, and we split the house 50-50. And we're putting the mortgage through, and I remember the very first phone call we had, which was in February of 2009. She calls me up out of the blue. Now, this would be interesting because she would end up doing the exact same thing to me a few years later, but she calls me up out of the blue. She says, hey, my girlfriends are planning a trip to Chicago. Betsy and I had dated 20 years earlier. Was happy to hear from an old friend. I got excited. And it was literally on that conversation, we knew we were going to be dating. And one of the things I asked her, not because I was a Christian yet in any way, shape, or form, but I still had a rule, I would not mess with married women. It's just one of those things.
That's dangerous.
Guys have rules like that.
Yeah.
And so I was asking her about it, not to interrogate her, but I wanted to find out, wow, so you and I knew her husband from 20 years ago. I'm like, wow, you and Jeff got divorced. I mean, what was that like? What was it? And you know how I ask questions. What was it like? What were you feeling the day you signed that document? What was it? And I literally asked her these types of questions, and she goes into this incredible story of the emotions she felt on signing. I mean, we broke it down the day they announced it to the kids, the other parts of it, and so I knew that she would have had to have signed her divorce papers before February of 2010,
Okay.
Of the year. So we're putting the mortgage application through, and in it is her divorce papers, because that was part of the mortgage application. I'm the one faxing it from my office. I just looked at it. The divorce papers were signed 6 months after we had this conversation. She made this up completely on the fly. It was with awesome detail. Like I said, it took 2 years of these little discoveries. And then finally I broke into her email and I saw what was really going on. And that's
creepy.
That's what it fucked me up.
Yeah,
it really.
Is that
I would.
Is that why you hit her?
Well, I'll tell you what. Speaking of that, if
kidding.
That's something that actually that's a buzzer for me now.
Just so
And
you
I don't
know.
even like jokes about it because there are women that are abused
I
for
get it.
real.
I get it, but just so you know, if she would have came to me and said, "Oh my God, Dave hit me," I would look at her and say,
Yeah.
"Well, if he hit you, then you deserved it."
Nah.
Because I know he didn't do that.
I wished one of my. This is what's hard for me.
Yeah, I
This
wouldn't
is an
believe it.
indictment of me, actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed it either.
No way I'd believe that.
No.
But you hear that, but the beautiful thing is she says that to one girlfriend and then another. And then those girlfriends tell their girlfriends, and then we're circling back 2 or 3 layers later, and by now the story is exaggerated. Oh, he kept her locked up in a dungeon in the basement, and he used to pour gasoline on her hair and did light her on fire.
Lotion in the basket. And the whole
So it seems as if there's this common knowledge of this event, and everyone's talking about it. She's completely controlling the narrative. And because we're limited by what we can do if we're aligned with God, I believe me, I wanted to. As recently as a few months ago, I wanted to have Howard drop some flyers. Just say, you know what, guys, my hometown's over. The old worldly me, I'm not gonna walk out of here with my tail between my legs. You want to know what I'm gonna do? Because she once said, "What are you gonna do about it, Dave?" She said, "I'm gonna destroy your friendships, and what are you going to do about it?" I actually didn't think she could do it. I wasn't effing masterful. So I was thinking about doing one of our mailers. Just send a postcard to every mailbox. Now, this is totally evil on my part. I know this. I will never do it, but fantasizing about it brought a lot of relief. And just, with the header, here's what I'm going to do about it. And just tell my side of the story and just let it go as I'm moving away. And then because now that same thing will hit her. There will be so much conversation about her friends will start to drop off. She won't be invited to parties as much.
Yeah,
and
you're right. That's pretty evil.
It starts to fuck up your life.
Yeah,
and I can tell you that from I've never had. It wasn't one mistake. It was a process. It was a systemic attempt to literally destroy a life. Just no regard for it, like no semblance of fighting.
And again, all she had to do was say it.
Oh, I was talking about Satan there.
Oh,
but
sorry.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
It's the same thing.
It's funny, but the stories that happen to individuals in the Bible, they happen to tribes, and they happen to nations, and they happen to the world as a whole. And you can see the same thing panning out in individual lives, like
Definitely patterns.
There are patterns.
Hey, what was it? Same along the same lines. Was it the 50s when everyone were freaking out because they thought aliens were actually invading?
Oh, you mean
1938?
Oh, it's 38.
Yeah,
sorry.
War of the
Okay.
War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Orson
Orson
Welles.
Welles?
So, as far as anyone knew,
We gotta wrap it
at
up.
the time that was real.
Yeah.
I think people jumped out of buildings as a
Yeah,
result.
they did. And that story will be coming back in our lifetime.
So weird,
you
right?
know.
But it's going to get sold to
Yeah.
everybody.
Okay, well, that's it for this week.
We'll be back with more relationship advice next week.
Yeah. Call in. Please call in.
Bottom
Stay
line.
tuned.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Feel free.
I was just going to say there is a God in this world. Believe me, and this is coming from someone who 8 years ago could not have said this. There is a God in this world, and he did send his son here. He really was the Son of God. And if you took enough time, it could be proven to you scientifically. That's the incredible thing.
Yep, I'm totally
Look
with you,
for
bro.
him. Look for him.
Do your research.
You're going to need to know him
Spend
soon.
down the rabbit hole. We will see you next week.